What is up, guys? I have, through trial and error, kind of found like the perfect workflow for me using some Blender plugins that I like, and this is primarily for hard surface, but I thought I would share it with you guys because, you know, this is something some plugins I didn't know about. They're not free, but I didn't even know about paying for plugins to start with. So let's just get right into it. So the first thing, you know, I've got this gun here, and I've got a lot of loot in my game that I'm working on, and I don't have a whole team. It's just me making stuff. So I thought, what if I were to build things in a semi-modular way? And so if you look, I've built this out, and I've still got to break it down. I noticed a couple of the pieces are still connected, but we have a butt stock right here. This would be broken off into one thing. Then we have this piece right here. My mind's drawing a blank. What's that called? But then you have the grips. And all these straps can be removed, so you can have a strap version and a non-strap version. The thing is, there's a tool that makes really nice hard surface models like this just kind of easy to do, because doing this by hand with maybe something starting with a cube and trying to extrude and cramp, that's really hard. I mean, it's doable, but the first thing I want to show off is something that I think every Blender user who buys plugins has probably already bought this, but that's hard ops and box cutter. They come as a bundle now. Now you can buy them separately, but I don't recommend that at all, because hard ops is freaking awesome, and it's really, really complemented with the box cutter. So everything you see here started as basically a cube with and then we started adding bevels and crap, and then just cutting away pieces. If you've never used hard ops or box cutter, just know that you can draw out shapes pretty quickly and just remove chunks out of it. And then if you want to go back, you can just go back to the booleans. And I think there's an easier way to do this, but this is one way to do it. You can just go back and readjust it. That's super handy, and especially for sci-fi stuff, if you want to get a really precise angle there or anything like that. So that is a secret weapon that a lot of hard surface modelers I think use if they're in Blender. The next thing you have is the actual hard ops, and I use them both in tandem so much that it's actually kind of hard for me to distinguish between the two. But basically, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Now this right here is still in Boolean mode, so it'll look a little strange right now in edit mode. Let's say we wanted to take this right here and turn it into a plate, right? We could just, or a curve. I didn't hit the shortcut, but that you can take a curve out of that, and you've got this little rail. That's crazy fast. That shouldn't be that fast, but it is. So let's say we have this cube right here, and it's, we add a little bevel to it with Control B, and then what if you wanted to take right here, this piece right here, and you wanted to turn it into something like a plate? Well, you could just go into your hard ops and then go shift, and boom, you've got this new object. It's a plate, and it's just, none of these things are impossible to do without hard ops. So if you see these concepts and you're like, this is impossible, it's not impossible. You can totally do it. It's just so much easier with hard ops. If you can find a way to afford it, and you love making hard surface stuff, definitely look into this, because it is pretty freaking awesome. And so we got this piece right here, right? And what if you wanted little lumps right here? You just go into your hard ups again and do it in an array. So this is kind of a major tool that I use for hard surface modeling. I put together this gun, and it's not the best gun in the world, but it's going to be from a third person perspective. It's going to be seen like this, and maybe zoomed up occasionally, but it's not a major deal. Kind of in a unfinished state, so it's not baked down into meshes. It's still, you can see right there, that is what the shape actually looks like, and then there's all these different shapes cut out. So you can get your base shapes and get your bevels in, and you can really play around. It's like playing. It's anything that makes any kind of development or art feel like play. It's exhilarating. It's fan-freaking-tastic. The next plugin, it's like a secret weapon, and I didn't even know it would work for this. So there's a plugin called Cablerator, and what it lets you do is, if you want to draw, create a cable, click one spot, click another spot, and then boom, you've got a freaking cable right there. There's so much you can do with it, and I'm not even gonna show this because this is not a Cablerator tutorial, but it's awesome. But there's a secret tool in it for insulating cables, and I had no idea it worked on any mesh. You just draw out two lines, and boom, you've got a strap on whatever you want, really. Like, they could use a little tweaking on this one, I'll admit, but like all of these straps up here, they were done by just clicking the meshes and drawing it. So this is a super cheap one. If you like need this kind of straps on your meshes, definitely get Cable Eraser. And you know, Sci-Fi looks so much better with cables. I forgot that it did cables till just now, so I'm gonna add some cables to this very possibly. Going forward, I hate UVs. You probably hate UVs as well, so I recommend getting a couple of plugins to save your butt. This one right here is called Zen Unwrap, and let's say we take this and we've converted it into a mesh, and that's all fine and dandy. There's a lot of ways you can unwrap this. One I used to do was Smart UV Project, which is actually way more efficient and useful than you would believe, because it just works for hard surface. Like if you're not bending, UVs are not going to be a huge deal. And now if you're doing like TV and like CGI type stuff, like where it's has to be like super high levels of fidelity, then maybe it doesn't work for you. But for video games, like things don't have to be at a certain level of detail, because at the end of the day, you gotta get stuff done. So if you click unwrap and we mark by angle and unwrap, it's going to put us some seams in and unwrap it. So let's switch to UV editing mode. This right here is freaking awesome, because this saves me some time. And I think there's a way you can do something similar in vanilla Blender, but I still recommend this plugin. And like, this is not the only thing it does. So if you notice, we've got all these little knobs here. I don't know what you call them, these little spikes. And the mark by angle did a little bit of a funky job with it, which is, it's okay, because we can fix it really quickly. Like, so if we go and grab these by their loops and we hit Zen Unwrap, which unmarked them, and then hit it again, you'll see, boom, we've got all of these marked at the caps. And we'll still need to put in a seam for each one, but that's super easy to do. I'm not like really going high in detail. This is not my unwrapped version. This is just for demonstration. Okay, so we've unwrapped that. We've got it all looking beautiful. Pretend that's beautiful. And you know, there's another thing you can use. You can just pack it with Blender's packing tool. But I was noticing the other day that I was wasting a lot of space, and you can manually like finagle the things around, but that's not going to be like a really great thing to do. So what I finally decided to do was get Packmaster, which is, it can be used with this. I can't remember. I think my version may be out of sync. So Packmaster just updated to 3, and I don't think at the time of recording Zen UV had updated. So that's all good. So if you take your UVs and you just pack them, you see that we get so much more density. Like you can also tweak it and do a little bit more searches, and I'll hit escape to stop. So you can see we used a whole crap ton more space. Like that's a ton of space. And if we unwrap it, you look at that. Like there's dead space everywhere. It's only using 51%. If we were to go and repack it again, give it a few iterations. Yeah, that's good. Hit refresh. We're using 80% of the texture. And that's really important for hard surface, because those normal maps are going to be what makes the difference between a good looking model and a PS1 looking model. Like it looks right now like that. If we don't have the cavity shader on, that looks like turd. But the next tool, which I also recommend, is the KitOps Bevel. This is black magic, and I love it. So if we turn it on and we preview it, so as we're tweaking it in, you can see there's a bevel being created. There is a perfect number for each model, and it depends on the size of the models in your scene. So how small your bevel has to be. And a good way to preview it's like this. 0.005, let's see. So yeah, that should be good. All right, so right now it's really hard to see what it's doing. So let's just bake the normals real quick and generate a material. Now this mesh would need a little bit of Boolean cleanup. If you look over here, you see now right there we get that nice like bevel look on the mesh, and that let me carry it over into Unreal, Unity, whatever you're using. And look at that. Look, that just makes it pop. And then it also has a worn bevel option, which will give you a mask. And that mask will give you a little bit of wear in Blender. And you can use that in Unreal to do whatever you want. This is something you would do in Substance, and it's, you know, pretty quick to do. You can really fine tune it. It comes with some unwrapping options. I don't use that because all the previous tools. But yeah, I absolutely love this one. The Blender market's put like a real hurting on my wallet, I'll be honest with you. I sell assets on the Unreal Engine marketplace, and it's a non-zero amount of that money has been put into these plugins, but oh my gosh, it's been worth it. The next thing that really makes this workflow pop off is the inclusion of the asset library feature in Blender 3.0. It is absolutely super powerful, like for your modeling. As you can see here, I've got all these pieces in this scene. I'm baking out some of their textures and stuff for reuse, but I have them all in this scene, and I have them all added to the sword props, okay? And that's pretty important. And you have to set it up in your settings. There's tutorials online, but it's something along the line of file paths, and then you can see my file path here. All right, so in like right here, we have the sword construction scene that I've been working on, and right now there's a katana, and there's we must be in isolation. We got all the different weapons here, and they're absolutely ready for Unreal. And so using the next plugin, this one's very much free. It's the Unreal Engine export feature that's provided by Epic Games. I hit send to Unreal, and I'm not going to hit it now because there's really no need to export again. All of these swords will be re-updated. And the texture's a little bit weird on this one because I'm working on a shader system that'll let the game apply, I guess, Call of Duty style weapon skins to weapons randomly. Hey, just give a little variation to the loot. But yeah, it's a very cool thing to get your workflow set up, and I recommend it. I'm just cranking out swords and cranking out items, and I'm having a good time with it. It's fun once you have the workflow set up. If you were to decide to do this yourself, I recommend opening up Notepad and doing just a step-by-step, like you're explaining it to a stranger, because if you're like me, you'll forget everything. That's the workflow I'm currently doing for my items and weapons. Hopefully you find some use in it. This may not be the most exciting video for everybody. It's more technical, but thank you so much for watching. Support the developers of these plugins because they are very, very nice. See ya.